Hey, what's up guys? And first of all, I just want to say that I'm done with majority of the scripts, so yes, this will be the last new one until the others are finished, but now that I'm finished with the scripts for the others, they will be coming out much faster and on a much more regular basis, guys. So yeah, once I'm finished with those, all the comments I've gotten down in the description, I'll be taking at least 6 of them to go on once I'm finished with the ones I'm doing on the other channels. So keep on commenting your ideas. So yeah, this is the last new one until the others are finished. Here it is, guys. I got this some time ago, you know yourself. Thanks for the idea once again. What if Naruto was the father of nature? Part 1, guys. If you enjoyed this and you want to see part 2, go ahead and comment down below and turn on that bell notification, and I'll be posting part 2 as soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. So without wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new series? Let's begin now, guys. In this vast, constantly expanding universe, many things happen that many people, thousands, billions, trillions, are unaware of. Events that were so phenomenal, that were a fixed point in time that it was necessary. Such events, on a very external scale, took place sometimes. And this event was going to be the foundation of many more to come. And we begin this in a planet known as the Elemental Nation. A lovely woman was tending to her garden. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. Recently she found out that she was pregnant. Overjoyed and happy, her husband was a leader of the village. His name was Minato Namikaze. A war had taken place not so long ago, but with the war being done and over with, a time of peace was settling in. Thus, things were much better than before. Not perfect, but better. Here with this woman, as she believed that she would simply have a phenomenal child. After all, every parent believes the best for their children. But this was just the tip of the iceberg, and that was going to be revealed soon enough. The place was so lovely, as she found herself sitting down on the bench nearby. Before she knew it, she fell asleep. Be it the calm blowing wind, or the beautiful music that seemed to go in a pattern with the tree sounds moving from left to right, the wonderful birds. She fell asleep. Nature was so and truly amazing. Jumping down, having gotten what he needed, was a silver-haired teen. His name was Kakashi Hatake. This boy has been through a lot, losing majority of the people in his life that he cared about. It was one of the many reasons why his sensei gave him this mission. To give him the mission to protect a new life. To show him that the world is not as bleak as it might seem. He made his way towards her and wrapped the blanket around her. As the place was a bit chilly, as he returned back to his perch. However, he had no idea exactly what was taking place. A distance away there was a stream on one of the many training grounds. The trees, the water, the earth, the wind, the entire world seemed to be in this state of lush and wonderful bliss. Traveling from the very earth itself was something extraordinary, something immaculate, as it went straight to the woman. Time skip. Kushina was surprised. Two? Her husband said, Minato Namikaze, as he stood beside her. The doctors were stumped. Having done the prior medical testing, after all, for multiple reasons, her giving birth had to remain secretive. To some extent, there were certain problems that might lead to her giving birth because she was no normal woman. Not only because she was the wife of the fourth Hokage, but also because she had the nine-tailed fox stored inside of her. So yes, they had to be careful. The doctors did their tests. They ran 3 tests to make sure. But now they were seeing something different. She was having 2 children instead of 1. Everything was identical. The DNA was perfect, blending from both parents despite there was only one before. This was a phenomenon that was unknown by the doctors. Perhaps they slipped up, perhaps they made a mistake. That was the only reason to suspect. After all, a normal child cannot be split into 2 beings. Then again, they were dealing with very powerful forces here. When anything revolved around the nine-tailed fox or chakra, but biology was different. And the baby was perfectly healthy. Not just the one that was there before, both of them. Both parents were overjoyed to hear the news though, knowing that their one child would have a companion growing up. Unfortunately though, when the day finally arrived, tragedy struck. A man was somehow able to get beyond the protective details and enter, and the massive 9 tails was let loose upon the village. As Minato rescued Kushina and placed her down where the 2 baby boys lie, she had 2 sons. The one that was born first was a mixture. He had blonde and red hair combining into an orange color. The second one had mostly blonde hair with a tinge of red, but it was mostly comprised of blonde. They would be naming the first one Naruto with his orange hair and the second one Menma. As the both of them lie there, Menma was staring around. However, Naruto was rather calm given the tense situation. It did not take too long for the finale that would end with not just one but both parents' death, as Minato was going to seal half and half of the 9 tails, one half within Menma and the other half within Naruto. Kushina had tears in her eyes, knowing that she wouldn't be alive to protect either of them. Knowing how hard the life of a Jinchuriki was, she prayed that they would watch out for one another. They were brothers after all. However, so caught up in everything, they failed to notice as Minato was knocked over the head and sent to the ground. Standing there was Hiruzen Sarutobi. Minato was shocked as Hiruzen gave him a smile despite understanding the dangerous situation. You are not the only one that has studied these seals, Hiruzen said, having undo a small portion of the barrier in order to enter, and now he knew exactly what Minato was trying to do. That is why he was here. After all, Minato had came to him when he was working and studying this seal as well. So yes, he knew how to perform it. However, Minato believed that he was the one that needed to do this. He was their leader after all. However, the third refused. No, he said. The village need a good guiding hand, he said to Minato, looking towards him with a smile. And besides, you need to be there for your children, he said. He looked towards Kushina with sadness in his eyes, that there was nothing could be done about her situation. However, she understood. He was the one that summoned the god of death. as the sealing process began. Despite not being able to see it, all of them felt the cold, chilling sensation. Menma immediately started to cry. However, Naruto was rather calm until half of the nine tails tried to enter the seal. Something happened though. They could clearly see the chakra. As Kushina was clinging on, Minato was confused, wondering if the third did something wrong, but that wasn't the case. The chakra was repelled. It wasn't able to enter Naruto, and giving Menma freshly activated seal, it tagged onto its own chakra and flew into Menma, sealing the entire nine tails right inside of him. This seal was much stronger than the one that Kushina had. It was a literal contract with death that takes the user's soul. So it was fully capable of withstanding the might of the beast. Hiruzen had seen everything and performed everything. Perhaps it was just instinct, feeling like there need to be more precaution just in case. Knowing that the seal would weaken on child's birth, Hiruzen had studied this seal, fully capable of knowing what Minato was trying to do. However, he did not have the problem. The half of the nine tails seemed to simply refuse to enter Naruto, leaving an empty, sealing ink that could simply be wiped off, as nothing was inside of it. The baby boy's eyes were open, a crystal shade of blue that was observing the world. Hiruzen fell as Minato caught the man and gently rested him down. There was nothing left. He made his way to Kushina and picked her up, bringing her to her children, hating the fact that there was nothing that he could do. Once a wielder lose their Jinchuriki, they were destined to die. The only reason why she was still alive was simple. She was a Uzumaki. She had a very powerful body that allowed her to stay longer. However, the only thing that she wanted to do was to spend this time with her children, to watch over them, to hold them close. Menma was crying as she tried to quiet him down, her soothing mothering touch, keeping him calm. As Naruto's little chubby hand raised up, Kushina leaned her hair down as he held onto it. He was looking her directly in the eyes. The next moment, as Minato stood there, tears pooling in his eyes, he was losing the love of his life after all. Minato noticed something rather abnormal. The trees, the plants, they were moving in. At first he believed that this was some enemy attack, but he then realized that it wasn't. A soft flourish of the nature around them started to gather around Kushina and the babies. Her eyes opened up wide when she saw the strange, greenish energy and golden energy flowing from the plants, the air, the wind, everything around her. She did not know why. She simply recalled that moment, that day when she was in her garden and the place was so peaceful. All of that strange, remarkable energy flew within her. As Minato looked down towards his son, it was Naruto. He saw Naruto's eyes pulsate, the same colors that were flowing into Kushina. Her body was sent with a rush. Her skin got rather colorful. Her eyes dazzled as her heart beat quickened before calming back down. Kushina took a deep breath, like she was just inhaling oxygen for the first time, feeling strange. Distance before things start to rush back. Minato right there, trying to help her. Meanwhile, in the distance watching was the same masked man. Angered to what he saw, he immediately made his way. He found himself within a dark, empty cave, emerging out of the eye hole of his mask. Immediately, needing assistance, due to the Fuinjutsu marker that was placed on him, courtesy of Minato Namikaze, it had to be removed immediately. Time skip. Naruto Namikaze collapsed down to the ground. As he lay there, "I'm defeated," he said. Standing above him was none other than Menma, who brought his feet down as Naruto rolled out of the way, immediately getting back to his feet. Hey, what's your problem? It's rather dishonorable to strike someone when they're down. In some cases, yes, but in some, no. Besides, I knew you were faking. Both boys were 7 years old at the moment. Menma wasted no time as he relentlessly attacked Naruto once again, throwing punches and kicks. However, Naruto backtracked, evading them. His hand was set to catch Menma punches, as he was not retaliating with his own. Menma was continuously sending blows his way though, as Naruto could not fake his way out of this one. That was just one aspect of his life. Time skip. Naruto was running away, trying his best to escape as he weaved under the table. He ran and jumped over the counter, ducking. He hid behind the stove when he heard a voice. You can't hide from me. He jumped as two arms tried to catch him as he landed on the dining table, running as he jumped off, quickly making his way up the stairs when someone was coming down. It was Menma. Hey, what's going? Sorry bro, said Naruto. He moved out of the way and pushed Menma, causing the chains that were meant for him to wrap around Menma as he ran and jumped through the window. Get back here! His lovely mother Kushina Uzumaki said. She had scissors in her hand. She was trying to cut his hair, but Naruto did not want her to cut it. He liked it this way. Another aspect. Within the office, Minato Namikaze was smiling, gazing down towards his son. Naruto was asleep, on the windowsill, within his office. Minato picked the boy up and made his way towards the couch and placed him down, before shaking his head as he made his way back towards his seat. There has been several things that took place since the Nine-Tails attack on the Hidden Leaf Village. Minato still could not explain the scenarios that revolve around Kushina being brought back. She was on the verge of death. There was nothing that he could do. It was breaking his heart into little pieces to see that she was going to die. However, he saw the light. He saw the trees, the plants, and he saw Naruto's eyes. However, since then, there has been no sign to show that Naruto was capable of anything other than, well, what a normal child could do. Then again, Naruto was different than a normal child. He was relaxed, able to fall asleep in very strange places. Him and Menma were polar opposites due to the burden that Menma had, which was told to him when he was 6 years old. Kushina was the one that believed that he was ready to know the truth. She knew that she was a Jinchuriki. She believed that keeping the secret away from him for much longer would not be good for anyone. She wanted him to know. He was confused at first, but they explained it to him. It has been 2 years since, and Menma has been going strong with it. However, from a young age, Menma wanted to be a shinobi just like his father. He wanted to be one of the greatest ninjas. He wanted to be a Hokage. And Minato was very proud to hear that. However, Naruto was different. He did not like to train that much. He did not like to overexert himself. He did not like fighting that much. Despite having a ridiculous amount of potential, he was just easygoing and laid back. Then again, when the time came, he did perform in training and exercise. And when they questioned him on where he would like to take his studies within the Ninja Academy or a part of the Civilian Academy, he had came back with the answer 2 days later that he wanted to become a ninja as well. They wanted him to know that if he had something else in mind, they would not force him. Despite being the son of the Hokage, and despite of high expectations, they would not put something on him that he doesn't want. However, he said that he wanted to do this, so they agreed. And with that, He started the academy when he was 6 years old. So yes, both boys were completely different in many regards. Even their features were different, despite being born on the same day. Other than that, Minato could not feel the marker that he placed. Somehow, the individual that he believed is Madara Uchiha was able to remove it. A lot has happened since, even with the Uchiha clan. Minato was able to work out a deal between Fukaku Uchiha and the village to make sure that there wasn't any future problems. With the third Hokage dead, Minato had everything placed on him. There was no one there to give him any more insight or help in certain areas. Then again, he's been Hokage for a few years now, but even then, sometimes it was nice to hear input from someone who has been the former Hokage. But Harrison was no longer with them, a brave man that was responsible for the reason why he was here, a sacrifice that he would never ever forget. He was working alongside Fukaku Uchiha after Danzo brought up the proposal after the Nine-Tail attack to subjugate the Uchihas and restrain their power by making Fukaku only a name on the council but not with any actual power. Minato had immediately turned down his proposal, believing that the village could use a better grip to help them, placing the Uchihas outside of the village where events took place and they would take a distance a long while to arrive would just cause more problematic events in the future. And due to the support that Minato showed, Fukaku was showing that support back as the Uchiha police force was staying in line. They were not doing anything that was turning the public eye against them. Danzo was a very smart person. Despite how calm Minato seems, he knew that Minato would not put up with his foolishness like Harrison would. That is why he tend to pull back a lot these days. They even signed a peaceful treaty with Kumo that their ninjas would not attack one another. Minato had been cautious in case of an attack. However, Kumo did not pull anything. So yes, peace was reigning rather well. Time skip. A 10-year-old Naruto was in the classroom. As Aruka had yet to arrive, the other kids were talking amongst themselves. Menma was debating something with Kiba, but Naruto wasn't paying attention too much. As he was leaning back in his chair, he was at the perfect angle so that he would not fall. A single movement though and he would fall back. Something was launched right towards him. He caught it, but the chair underneath him gave way. As he fell down, "Ow," he said. He looked in his hand to see a muffin. He unraveled it as he started to eat, without even picking himself up, as someone made their way towards him. It was a girl his age, dark hair and dark eyes. She was his mother's best friend daughter. Her name was Sadara Uchiha. She walked over and sat down in the chair beside him, as she was also snacking on a muffin as well. "Aren't you going to at least pick yourself up?" she said, as she ate and gazed down towards him. Naruto did not answer at first, as he simply continued to eat, which aggravated her a bit. However, he pulled himself up as he sat down. "Thanks," he said. That hit the spot. The three of them has been friends since he was a small child. Him, Menma, and Sadara. Their mothers were close. And there was also Itachi as well, her older brother, the one that people call a genius. Naruto liked him as well. He was calm and cool, their personalities being rather similar in the way they approach things. However, Naruto tended to be a bit lazy, like a Nara most times. As he gazed over towards Sadara, this was not unusual, her bringing him food. While the three of them has known each other, her and Naruto were closer than her and Menma. From day one, gazing over her shoulder, Naruto looked behind her. There was multiple girls that were glaring at her, but she paid them absolutely no mind. Naruto was really popular with the ladies for several key factors. He was the son of the Hokage, that was a major one. He was really good looking, that was another one. And his attitude, being rather friendly, despite being rather aloof, seemed to take them, well, by storm. Same go for Menma, but it was his uncaring attitude, because he did not, well, go into things like that, and he tend to blow people off a bit, and they seem to like that, a lot of them. So yes, they were rather popular. On the other hand, majority of the boys in the class disliked the both of them for multiple reasons. Well, Menma was the best, always besting them no matter what. And the fact that Naruto barely tried and he seemed to be stronger than them as well, always angered them. And then there was the fact that Naruto was always hanging out with Sadara. She was a daughter of the clan head of the Uchiha clan. Not to mention in their eyes, as she had the standard for the cutest girl in the class. So yes, many disliked the attention that Naruto got from her, both ways with the girls as well. However, they did not seem to be concerned, as she did not really pay them any mind one bit, the jealous girls or the nosy boys. Naruto was someone that understood her. She had high expectations on her shoulder, given the clan that she hailed from, given who her older brother was. Some of the time she wondered if she can even meet those expectations. People tend to believe that just because she was a girl, that she would not show the same promise like a boy would, as she even heard comments like that before. However, his attitude was to simply block them out and not pay them any mind. After all, she was special the way she was. That is what he told her when he saw her down. And from then their friendship had deepened a lot, and that was a few years back. So yes, Naruto and her were close. As Haruka entered the class and started the lecture. Time skip. "Come on now," said Naruto. "It's a beautiful day. Let's go catch some fishes or something." An angry Menma was standing in front of him. The three of them found themselves deep within the forest. Three of them, yes, because Sadara was also there as well. This wasn't uncommon as well. The three of them tend to hang out a lot, especially when it came to their secret training. That was one of the many aspects that she liked about Menma. He was always focused on their training, so that they could get better, a lot faster than the other students. She, who loved to make her family proud, also took part in that. But Naruto did not like it one bit, as Menma was being too bossy, and he made that opinion rather clear, causing Menma to grow a rather large head and shout at him, "We're going to graduate from the academy very soon and be ninjas. We have to be ready. But our senseis are going to teach us. It's not like we're going to be on our own. Would you stop whining and just do it?" Menma said. Naruto released a heavy breath. Despite him being the older one, it doesn't really seem like it. Sadara simply chuckled to herself. "It's not funny," Menma said. "Well, it kinda is," she said. "After all, he is your older brother." "Not by much," Menma said. "Oh yeah, that's right," said Naruto, causing Menma to look at him as he shyly stepped behind Sadara, which made her laugh even more. A family dynamic that she's enjoyed for some time now. As Menma had something though, it was a scroll. It was of the Sunshin technique, something he believed that all of them would benefit from greatly. Sadara was glad to see that. People tend to underestimate her greatly. Her father, well, he was her father. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't too emotional. He doesn't act like Minato, Namikaze, the leader of their village. She saw the way Minato acted with the boys, and her father did not act that way. However, her father was not cold towards her, he was not distant. But he tended to baby her a bit though, on some areas. Perhaps it was because they were no longer in war. Time that he believed that she wasn't ready for certain jutsus or certain techniques to learn. Itachi was always there though, monitoring her in some cases, believing that her training could be kicked up a notch, as she was a very talented girl, so she was going to ace this and have it under her belt. As the three of them spent the next couple of hours until the sun was going down, the village was really safe. Minato had spent many years ensuring that no one would be able to break in and do anything of the sorts. The boys were being protected by Anfu when they were younger, but as the time went by, it wasn't necessary anymore. There hasn't been any attack. The village was protected. The walls were protected. The gates were protected. For someone to sneak in, they would need expertise of the intricate understanding of the village, or someone to help them. And this is exactly how this event took place. Someone seemed to have given information that would lead to the capturing of these children at the moment. I think it's time that we head home, said Naruto, as Menma glanced over towards him. Well, at least he tried today. Fine, he said. Let's head home. We'll meet back again tomorrow, said Sadara. Naruto spun his head around towards her. What? We're close, she said to him. We can't afford to waste much time now. Come on, it's not gonna take that long. With all of us working together, we should be able to crack it open, she said to him. She was rather energetic about that, despite being rather tired at the moment. All three of them seemed to be rather tired, even Menma. And Menma had more chakra than the both of them, due to the beast that was living inside of him. Something that he's lived with for his entire life. Perhaps a strong reason why he continues to strive to be better, knowing the burden that he had to carry. However, it's not to say that his family wasn't there for him. They were there for him constantly. As much as Naruto seemed to be laid back and lazy in certain areas, he was a very good brother. One of the many reasons why he laid back rather calmly, as Menma always bossed him around. However, Naruto faced change immediately, as he could feel it in the air. He had no idea how, but he could feel it in the sky. Something was wrong. Not usually seeing this expression on his face, Sadara and Menma grew concerned. What's wrong? Sadara questioned him. Something's off, said Naruto. Naruto noticed it as he saw the metal. He moved forward and pushed the both of them down. The weapon aimed towards Menma's feet, another one aiming to his. However, they evaded it. The next moment, they were surrounded by 3 people. Yes, they were. And one in the trees. Before Sadara could say anything, something was wrapped around her mouth. Her hands were bound, her legs were bound. Before Menma could even do anything, his legs were bound quickly. However, he was not one to go down without a fight, and Naruto was able to escape his captor. Him being lazy to really try had much more energy than the both of them, and the other 2 were quickly grabbed because they had less. Naruto jumped away, dodging the arm that tried to grab him, as Menma bit down on the arm that tried to gag his mouth, forcing the man to release him as he quickly jumped towards a kunai that was in the ground, allowing it to slice the rope as he rolled back to back with Naruto. However, the ground broke open as someone came out, delivering a brutal uppercut. Whoever these were, they weren't playing around. Menma's head was snapped up to the sky as a fist slammed into his gut, nearly knocking him unconscious. His hands were immediately bound. A hand reached for Naruto from left to right, one grabbing his shirt. He tried to escape, but the hand that held onto him released a discharge of electricity, just a tiny amount to zap him, forcing him to collapse on the ground, both of his hands bound behind him. Naruto tried to escape, but he could not. The person was stronger than him, bigger and stronger, as they held him down, and thus the three kids were subdued. Menma, seeing what happened to his brother, started to lose it. He tried to move around, but the man that bound him slapped him across the face hard, placing a kunai at his throat. "I would be quiet if I was you," he said. "You wouldn't want me to end your life when it hasn't even started yet." The kunai started to nick at Menma's skin, drawing a tiny amount of blood, Sadara's eyes going wide as she started to make a sound and movement, but she was slapped across the face as well. These people, whoever they are, they're definitely not playing around. Their face was covered by masks, dark masks that blend in. However, all three of them gaze up, including the one on the tree, as thunder boomed into the sky. A moment ago, the sky was rather clear, so this was unexpected. The guy that reached down to grab Naruto felt a zap, forcing his hand away. "What the hell?" he said, him just being the one to use that technique, as he had zapped the kid to subdue him. However, Naruto had witnessed all that took place in front of him. Yes, Naruto was a really calm person. Yes, he was a patient person. However, this was the first time he was truly seen people that he cared about in danger. And you know what they say, there is always a calm before the storm. Violent surge of energy rained from the heavens. It was chaotic lightning strike. The one that bound Naruto was zapped on the arm rather violently. If he hadn't moved, his whole body would have been crisp right now. He released a blood-curdling scream. The leader of this little group gazed up toward the sky as he saw the boy. "What the hell is this?" he said. There was nothing that mentioned this in what they needed to do. How was he able to do this? He was a child. The leader jumped down knowing that he would be giving away their position. Meanwhile, in the office, the loud booming sound alerted everyone. Minato gazed through his window and saw clouds in the far distance gathering. At first he believed that it was a storm, but why would a storm simply brew in one area? Like that, it wasn't traveling, it was gathering. Something was wrong, he thought to himself. Moments before that, "Stay where you are, you brat, unless you want them to die." The kunais at Menma and Sadara's throat got even closer, drawing blood, causing them to squirm. And Naruto lost it, all sense of composure in that moment. Just because there has been many incidents, many things that took place within the elemental nation that cemented a couple of people as gods, such as Madara Uchiha and Hoshirama Senju, who were able to destroy valleys, destroyed entire landscape. People tend to forget that nature, calamities was still the most deadliest force across the entire world. Violent, unexpected, mass destruction, storm, earthquake, violent tsunamis, wildfire, nature itself, a powerful chaotic force that sometimes cannot be stopped. And in that moment, watching people that he loved bound, their life being threatened, rage consumed Naruto. It gripped him. He was not a person that was used to dealing with such rage, so it span out of control. Everyone in Konoha was startled. A thunder so loud that it was deafening for a moment. The people that were close by, they were affected greatly. All Menma and Sadara could hear was a ringing sensation, as the thunder was so drastically loud. The entire heavens became dark. A pitch black cloud. Lightning rained down. It seemed to be literally targeting the enemies, like the wrath of the heaven was coming down upon them. Naruto stood to his full height, the wind around him violently ripping the place apart. The earth started to split. Just regaining hearing, the leader realized the danger that they were in. This brat was going to wipe everything out. Take him down, he said. The one behind Naruto with his one using arm believed that he had the best chance. Dashing forward, he pulled a very specialized tool. They were senbons, but not just any senbons though. They were special. He coated them with lightning and launched them towards Naruto's back. The inexperience came into play here for the enemy as the weapons plunged into Naruto's back. They were to hit a vital point in order to take Naruto down, but something was wrong. Naruto flexed as the weapons flew out at least 4 times faster than they were currently traveling at. They stabbed into the side of the individual, one into his side, one into his stomach, and one into his shoulder. Naruto raised his hand into the ear. It was literal instinct as he plunged it into the ground. His punch should not be strong enough to cause much damage, and it was not, but the earth itself seemed to move. The earth split open, creating a giant chasm. The leader was the only one fast enough to move away. As the thing split, the others tried to cling on, which they did to the side, the leader completely avoiding the massive split. They were all so shocked. Menma and Sadara start to fall as they scream. However, Naruto raised his hand out towards them, and the environment itself seemed to move to his will. The earth formed a platform underneath the both of them. They fell on top of it. They were both disheveled as they lie there. Naruto slammed his hand open as the earth raised upwards, bringing them out. The 3 men ran for their life as they jumped upwards. However, when the earth snapped closed, one of them was crushed. The other one got his left leg completely mangled. He released a blood-curdling scream. As he was there stuck, the one behind Naruto was already, missing an arm. And the senbons were stuck in him as he tried to pull them out. The leader blinked in front of Naruto. Naruto tried to reach for the man, but the man weaved away and delivered such a kick, Naruto was launched back. As he bounced, the man appeared above him and brought the kunai down towards him. There was a clashing sound. Both of Naruto's arms were encased in rock, completely protecting him. The kunai clashed against that tough exterior. Immediately though, the ninja quickly realized his mistake and aimed downwards, closer to Naruto's chest area. That was until, BAM! A gaping hole was left through his skull. It ripped right through. The small stones that had gathered around Naruto's arm pierced a hole through his skull. The others flew with such a speed, the force was enough to rip through literal bones. The one that had his leg trapped received the brunt of the attack due to the boss being ahead of him. His body was impaled as he stuck in him, causing multiple fractures and multiple puncture wounds. He was dead in seconds, leaving only one. All of this was truly unbelievable. The sole survivor started to run toward the trees, moving as quickly as he could, dashing as fast as he possibly could to get away. When Naruto's eyes set on the man's back, all that was seen was pure rage. You wanted to kill them, Naruto said, waving his hand outwards. A violent tornado arrived. It was at that moment that Minato arrived on the field, looking around at all the destruction. The sole survivor released a blood-curdling scream as Naruto clenched his fist. Naruto and Minato shouted out. The look on Naruto's face, the rage. There was no empathy, no remorse, as Naruto continued to squeeze. The pressurized tornado force collapsed the man's bones in on itself, allowing his ribs to break. Bones puncturing his heart, his kidney, ripping through his spine. His death was gruesome and bloody. This was out of character, far, far out of it. Naruto was a gentle boy, a boy that would not even think of killing. His aspect not there in that part just yet. So that look on his face, it frightened Minato to see his son like that. The cold emptiness, a look that he's never seen on Naruto's face before. The other two were just stunned, unable to properly even form sentences. All of it happened so fast. The sky started to calm down as the envoys secured the other two and check in the remainders. But they were all dead. A gaping hole through the skull of the leader. The second one with his leg stuck there. His head was left in pieces. The last one, there wasn't a skeletal structure like a human anymore. It was just blood and guts. It was a gruesome scene. Whatever seemed to happen to Naruto took a huge toll out of him as he fell. However, Minato caught him just in time. Due to the secrecy of their training, the boys had made their way a distance. Yes, along with Sadara. They were much further away from the village center, where the tower was. The fact that Minato made it here in 1 minute and 15 seconds was extremely quick. Yes, all of that. Since Naruto released that thunderous lightning bolt, happened in 1 minute and 15 seconds. These guys, while they weren't the best, they were definitely not newbies. They were definitely not rookies. However, Naruto's power was just so overwhelming, confusing. Well, it greatly caught people off guard. Time skip. Lying in the hospital room was Naruto. He was sleeping. He was perfectly fine, just sleeping at the moment. As the door opened as Menma entered, their mother went to get something and to return, having been here the entire time. Menma stood there, still frightened by what he had seen. It was the next day now, and Menma was still shocked by the amount of power that Naruto had at his disposal. Was that always the case? Did he always have this power? Menma questioned himself. However, he failed to notice Naruto waking up. The next thing he knew that Naruto was hugging him, squeezing the living daylight out of him. The last thing that Naruto had remembered was Menma and Sadara in danger. He pulled back and started to check over him. "Are you alright?" he said, checking every part of Menma. "Yeah, I'm fine." "What about Sadara? Where is she? She's alright as well?" Menma said, trying to calm Naruto down. Naruto took several deep breaths as he relaxed. What happened? Did father arrive? Did he stop them? Naruto said. However, Menma looked at him strangely. And that is when he said the words that brought everything back. "Don't you remember?" It was at that moment Kushina returned, as all the startling memories came rushing back to Naruto. Time skip. Naruto was alone. A couple days after the incident, things were different. Not that much, but yes, they were. To the outside world, a couple of fiends were stopped from harming innocent children, yes. However, A lot had taken place. While all of that was going on, Danzo Shamura was receiving intel on the failed operation, something he was glad to hear about. Danzo had no qualms, absolutely none, of losing the Nine Tails. Of course not. As much as he despised Minato, the Nine Tails was a tool that would be useful for him in the future, and he wouldn't allow any other village to have it. Of course not. And that boy, he was Minato's blood. And that girl, as much as he detests the Uchiha clan, the future generation would be strong for him to rule. So of course Danzo did not want any of them to be kidnapped. In fact, he had already had his people ready to sound the alarms, to give the exact location of what happened, and if necessary, slaughter the ninjas that came after the boys and the girl. However, Danzo needed a distraction. The village has been safe for some time now. Everything has been quiet. He had to wait for some time before he made this move, not wanting anything to be directly linked back to him. But this was all a distraction that he used to plot something very dangerous and deadly that would allow him to rise to the seat as the Hokage. However, he needed a big distraction in order to do it. Otherwise, the chances of Minato finding out was too great. So yes, this was all a plot in his little scheme. And those so-called ninjas were hired. There was no linking background that was linking back to him. He made sure of that by recently assassinating every single individual that took part in this. The one that was paid, the one that did the hiring. Danzo made sure to cover his grounds, knowing that an action like this could lead to his execution. However, in causing a distraction, he was able to learn a lot more about the son of Minato Namikaze. It seems, just because he did not possess the Nine Tails doesn't mean that he was any less special. Now that was good to hear. Meanwhile though, as Naruto was seated by himself, his mother was always a protective individual, but now that seemed to have gone up to 1,000,000, as she wanted to make sure that they were safe. His father was also putting people to watch him. Naruto could feel them around him, something that he hasn't told his parents just yet. He was able to recall exactly what happened, and Naruto was having some trouble. The problem was, he did not feel bad. He was a child. He was a good person. He never truly liked violence. In day one, he never truly wanted to become a ninja, but everyone that he knew, everyone that he cared about was becoming a ninja, so he simply went along with it. And now he found himself in the middle of something strange. He did not feel bad. Those people were trying to hurt Menma and Sadara. And those were people that he loved and cared about. And he saved them. Mikoto was so happy, thanking him. Itachi gave him a good praise as well. There was no words, but Naruto could see it in his eyes. Even Fukaku was glad to hear what he did. So yes, but now Naruto was questioning, was he a bad person? Because he did not feel bad. He killed 4 people. Yes, he killed people. He took their life away. They no longer exist. They were no longer on this planet. They wouldn't be coming back. He killed them. Yet he didn't feel bad because they were the enemy. Was that what it meant to be a ninja? Killing those that was your opposite. Killing those that were against you. He started to question a lot. His mind and ideals starting to take on a new shape. Yes, very much. Time skip. 2 years flew by rather quickly without a single incident. The isolated incident was something that Minato was unable to find. However, once again the village, well, not the village exactly, but once again those around him was able to see that Minato despite his calm demeanor, was a very violent man when it came down to protecting the people that he loved. People had to remember that Minato slaughtered over 1,000 ninjas by himself on the battlefield. Unfortunately, though, they weren't able to find the culprits, as all of them were dead and their brains were destroyed, so they could not give any information despite being beyond the grave. Jiraiya had returned to the village, the godfather of the boys, to spend some time there before he went out once again. And as the 2 years went by, Naruto started to take his training a bit more serious. However, his personality was something that didn't change that much, and that was because of his father. Flashback. "What is it, son?" said Minato, seated with Naruto. Despite spending a lot of time with Naruto, Minato did not neglect his other son. He spent a lot of time with Menma as well, as Menma took after him more than Naruto. His features alone, however, his drive to learn. Minato himself was a person that loved to create, loved to observe, and loved to upgrade things, and Menma took that after him. As Naruto was seated with the man, he asked him the question that has been worrying him for some time now. "Am I a monster?" he said. "What? Of course not," said Minato. "Where would you get that idea from?" Those people that died. The people I killed. I thought I was supposed to feel bad for what I did, but I don't. I mean, I'm supposed to be a good person. I feel empathy. I feel sad when people feel sad, but I know they were trying to do something horrible, so I don't feel bad. Does that make me a monster?" He looked down towards his son and placed a hand on his head. "I've seen monsters in this world, a lot of them, and trust me, you're not a monster," he said. "You did what was necessary in order to protect the ones that you love. As most people would try to give you different logics or different understanding, but that is what all of this is. We as a village come together, the will of fire, and you did what was right. Most of the times it's hard to truly feel empathy for your enemies that you know deserve your wrath. I have faced this 1,000 times on the battlefield." Minato said, making Naruto have a seat. "You know many things about my past. I've told you about my stories and my adventures, but there are some of them that I've kept away from you," said Minato. "That I kept away from both of you in order to shield you away from the truth of this world," he said. "However, at this moment you're now questioning the balance between good and evil. And I want you to truly understand just exactly what it is. What I see it as," said Minato. "What it means for the land of fire, the power, the will, our bond, our friendship, our comrades, our family." As Minato went on to explain to Naruto, giving Naruto a whole new outlook, as he realized that he did what was necessary in order to protect the ones that he loved, and maybe deep down he knew that they deserve it for what they tried to do. Things between him and Sadara did not change that much. She knew that he did what he did, she was just concerned about him. Asked him if he was alright, but he was fine. Menma was glad to see that Naruto was taking initiative and actually training more with him, but his personality would only go that far, as he was still in that slick, lazy mode of his sometimes. Well, at least that hasn't changed that much, to change him that much. The graduation test was coming up for them to become actual ninjas. This was just a small drop in the bucket of what they were already taught. Keep in mind, Minato was one of the strongest, if not the strongest man in the entire elemental nation at the moment. Yes. And Kushina, She was a Uzumaki despite her not taking most of her family knowledge into play. There was multiple things, from Fuinjutsu to Kinjutsu, that she could teach her boys, while neither of them was able to produce the adamantine chains that she was able to create. That still did not leave off the multiple things that she could teach them, not to mention their big brother Kakashi. Kakashi was there for them most of the times. He was busy most of the times, but when he came around, he tended to spoil them a bit, just like Jiraiya, in giving them things to work on that might be a bit too advanced. But both boys were genius in a different regard, as both of them took to things rather well. However, there was constant tests and studies done on Naruto. From the little episode that took place, rather frightening evidence started to show itself, as it turns out that Naruto's body composition seemed to somehow affect the weather around him. They wonder if it was some hybrid Kekkei Genkai that spawned because of the both of them. However, they haven't linked back anything that would lead to the case, but perhaps it was something that was new, the first of its kind. As both boys were told about this, Menma, curious about exactly what his brother was capable of. As Naruto started actually putting in a bit of work, things came to him rather easily. They found out that he was a sensor, but his sensor ability was different. He could somehow feel the emotions of the people around him. Sadness, happiness, rage. He could feel it. It was almost like he could control the very atmosphere around him. However, it wasn't that extreme. Since getting so angry and using all of that power though, Naruto hasn't found a way to access it. But he has found a way to access a small portion of it though, to show that there was many mystery about him. That led Minato to question more about what happened when Naruto was born. The fact that he had saved Kushina's life. However, as all of this was happening, a rather nasty creature, a demon, one of the most powerful threats the entire universe ever faced, started to rear its head. Jealousy. Jealousy can lead people to do very stupid things that would have some negative side effects. Men must spend most of his life training to be the best, training to be the better, training to be the one that people saw as Menma Namikaze, but not the son of Minato. But now, all of the attention was on Naruto. Everyone was looking at him like he was some sort of, well, hero. As Menma stood there watching Naruto generate a strange orb of water around his fingers and moved it around, he felt upset that he wasn't able to do much on that day. He's been training so hard, training so long, and yet, when the time actually came for him to do something, he did absolutely squat. It angered him greatly. As he watched Naruto, the one that saved everyone, he wasn't happy about that. Not one bit. And now that he actually started putting in a bit of work, he was getting all the attention. Everyone was saying that he was special. However, it got worse when they found out that Naruto could willingly manipulate all of the nature elements, while Menma was only restricted to 2, something that they weren't even supposed to learn at the age that they were at. But they were not normal boys after all, but still. Wind and lightning. Menma was angry as the jealousy inside of his heart started to get stronger. He did not hate his brother, he did not hate his family, but he was frustrated, angered by all of this. And jealousy was a very powerful tool that led people to do very stupid things. As he was gazing towards Naruto, who wasn't even aware of any of this, as Sadara came by. Sadara. Menma and her weren't close as Naruto and her. There was a reason for that. A reason why he tended to pull back a lot. In that situation, he got nervous around her because, just like many of the other boys in the class, he liked her. Yes, Menma liked her. However, she never really saw him like that. She only seemed to look at Naruto like that, more than just friends. He wasn't sure, but that was another piece of the puzzle that was just adding on to the jealousy that was in his heart. And it was bad. Really, really bad. Hey, Menma! Naruto cut his thoughts, waving his brother over as Menma made his way. Unknowingly, something was watching Menma. Not someone, something. After all, Naruto can't be the only special individual. No, can he? But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.